For the big XPW ECW fight that happened at that ECW pay-per-view, what was that all about?
I don't really remember other than we did a show. The XPW guys was at the show, and they came down and they tried to invade the ring. So we ended up going outside, and it was a big fight. And the cops came out there, and they was like, "Is this part of the show or what?" You know what I mean? So it was a big deal where they didn't know it was part of the goddamn show or what. And we went on and we got in a big fight. And it was a big deal.
And I guess you ended up going to work for them after ECW closed up. How was it working for XPW?
It was cool.
Did you get along with I think it was Rob Black that ran it?
Yeah.
Did he ever make you an offer to be in one of his porns?
No. No. But he used to let us come and watch them make the porn videos. And it was the sickest shit I've ever seen in my life. Dude, he had them bitches doing all kind of nasty shit. And I was like, what the fuck? But no, I was never asked to be involved in it.
What kind of shit? Just like really gross stuff? Like,
they had a thing what they did called Slap Happy. And the guy would be fucking a girl, and then he would start to slap her. And he would slap the spit out of her mouth. And we would watch it. And it was the nastiest shit you've ever seen in your life. And the bitches would throw up on their dick, and they would just do all kind of nasty shit, and they would gag them, and they would stick their fingers in the throat and make them puke. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was like the nastiest shit in the world. But we watched it, and the shit was retarded.
Is it true Rob Black put like a hit on one of the wrestlers for allegedly hitting on his wife or something?
Messiah was fucking Rob Black's girl, Lizzie Borden. And Rob Black got mad. So Rob Black had these guys to go to Messiah's house with some garden shears, and they cut his thumb off.
How was XPW?
It was kind of the shits, you know. It was a low budget ECW, but I was the top dog there. But that don't mean nothing because you're top dog in a bunch of shit. That's nothing to be proud of.
Right. And Rob Black, I read you were saying the type of porn he was into wasn't even just regular porn. It was like really disturbed. Speaking of shit, it was like shit porn.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
And you were saying there was rumors, I guess, that he actually put a hit on one of the wrestlers for sleeping with his wife.
Yeah, they tried to cut his dick off, but they cut his thumb off.
Yeah,
it was even on America's Most Wanted. They were searching for the guys that did it, but it was Rob Black. He put the guys up to it. They said he wanted his dick. He wanted to get his dick chopped off and have the guy's dick, but they couldn't get it. They stabbed him in that groin area, but they did chop his thumb off, thinking who's gonna know, right? Well, Rob Black knew. He washed it off and checked it out. He goes, "This ain't a dick, you know. It's a thumb." And the guy ends around with a missing thumb. You know, thank God it's only a thumb though.
But he
actually tried to cut his dick off, and we're gonna leave until they got a body part, which is crazy.
But the guy, what was his name again?
I don't know. His real name Billy, but he was called the Messiah. I don't know other than Billy something.
but he was fighting back, and they couldn't actually finish the job.
He said actually they cracked him on the head with a fish tank, and then he seen them stab him in the groin. That woke him back up when they stabbed him in the groin. Trying to get his dick with one chop, but then they didn't know they had to saw it.
Yeah,
so they ended up like popping his thumb off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you the one that recruited Terry Funk into XPW?
Yeah. Yep.
And I guess the biggest show they had was that LA Sports Arena show here in LA.
Yeah.
What was the crowd for that one?
I think it was like 3,000. It was pretty good. It was good.
And that would be especially for an arena where WrestleMania was. I think WrestleMania 7.
Was it?
Yeah. And 2. I think they also had 2 here.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Now, there was that infamous XPW, ECW fight. You weren't involved with it. I got Shane Douglas's version of it, but could you just tell, you know more of the XPW side of it, I think.
Yeah, but I wasn't there. They did it without my knowledge. They said something to me about it, and I laughed. Like, who's going to do that? Nobody shows up to someone else's show and disrupts it. Nobody does that. If you do that, you just bring heat on yourself and it looks stupid. And they did it. I thought they were joking when they said it. When they did it, I wasn't that informed about it until afterwards, when I heard that this guy got beat up or punked around or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, I was, you know, I had nothing to do with it. And then my ECW friends thought I did have something to do with it. I go, no. If I knew something had anything to do with it, I would have stopped it.
And I guess you said it was actually the ring crew that the ECW guys ended up beating up rather than the actual wrestler.
Yeah, it was the ring crew. And one guy, he was a wrestler, Homeless Jimmy. They beat him up.
Okay.
He had almost nothing to do with it.
Is it true New Jack attempted to knock a fan off a balcony once in XPW?
He did knock him off the balcony.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He knocked him off, and the guy landed at the bottom of the steps. The steps were like a ladder. He hit that, and that was what broke his fall. The last 3 steps broke his fall. What
was your overall thoughts on the Gangsters?
I liked them. They were the perfect combination, but for some reason, I don't know why, New Jack didn't like Mustafa. He didn't fight for Mustafa to come back.
I've heard the full story from Francine. I of course heard it at the time, and this was before I had gone into XPW.
Yeah,
and
XPW.
Yeah, this was before I went in there. Sometime before I went in there, but after I had left ECW, I think I was in WCW at the time, and you know the dressing room is telephone, telegraph, tele-wrestler. We had heard about it almost probably within an hour of it actually happening. Francine was in the ring doing a promo, and they were all sitting at ringside. Ronnie Lang from Atlas Security had already talked to them, and there was no heat or anything. They were there just paying customers. And at a certain point, one of them jumped up, and I forget who, but one of them jumped up and took their shirt off, which signified to the others to all do the same thing, sitting front row with their XPW shirts. And there was some contact made with Francine, which is what brought everybody out of the ECW dressing room. You know, when God, it was, how many times it happened in ECW, if a wrestler would get attacked or touched, and the dressing room would empty out like bees out of a hive. And Franny was in the ring, and I believe somebody either touched her or went to touch her, and that's what instigated it all. It was after all these things all happened. Which happened first? You'd have to ask Franny. But Franny claims there was never any contact. I guess somebody said that Francine hit her back or something. There was a lot of comments made after that. But it was, hey, look, there's being the ECW guy, I can tell you that if we were in somebody else's turf, that's what we would have done. We would have gone in, probably bought tickets to the front row of WCW or WWF and done the same thing. So kudos to them for doing it. But, probably not the best dressing room to do it with, because the ECW dressing room was, we were all very protective of the ECW and the characters and such. So, it's, I've heard both sides of the story. I heard when I first went there, theirs was a lot more innocuous version. I've heard the way worse versions from other people. And then Francine's story sort of falls somewhere in between. Not a real wise move to make with ECW.
In the end, the only people that I really remember from XPW are the ECW people that crossed over there afterwards, such as you. You gave that one the speech, putting the company on your back, but I know there was problems with that company with funding from the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when I first went there, I made it abundantly clear to Rob Black, the owner, that I didn't want it. I wouldn't be there as long as if there was any kind of connection between the porno and the wrestling. They had to be two separate companies, and he agreed to do that. And, we went through some incarnations. There were, little issues like, the show wasn't edited the way, I had booked it out or whatever. Things like that you come to expect. That's sort of commonplace for the business. But when I found out that they were still crossing over the porno with the wrestling, which was one of the things that I had made very clear to Rob that I wouldn't tolerate. And it had nothing to do with pro or anti-pornography. It was just I didn't want the wrestling fans to have just an easy, it's the porn company, and criticize just because of that connection. And I still think to this day that was one of the things that they did wrong with XPW. That and not listening, very much like Dixie Carter later, when you have people that are there that have the experience, both in the business, in the ring, and behind the camera. You're a fool not to take that advice.
We had to cover it up somehow. The backstory on that is before the show started, the XPW guys bought tickets to see the event. Now, we were in California. It was our first time out there. We were doing this big pay-per-view. And we were told beforehand, look, there's like 5 or 6 of them. They said they just wanted to watch the show. Now, Paul had a notion something might happen. So Atlas were on their toes. Like, we didn't know what they were going to do, but they were ringside. They were in front row ringside, and they paid the money for the tickets. It wasn't like they got in for free or anything. I think they might have been told not to have their shirts on. So they weren't allowed to wear the XPW shirts. We all knew they were looking for publicity. So what happened, they waited till the main event. And they made the one girl stand on a chair as soon as we came out. And she took her shirt off and she had a bra on. But, she had these big boobs and there was like this pop. And I turn around and she's up there and she's like, dancing. And the guys are like looking. And so I walked over and I just told her, get down off the chair. And she just looked at me like a deer in the headlights, and she looked scared. Like she looked like they put her up to it. So I kind of felt bad for her in a way. But I said, get off of the chair. And I think I might have tapped her on her shoulder so she knew I was behind her. Not one time did I hit her. Did she hit me? Nothing like that happened. As her and I were talking to each other, that the boys took their shirts off and they had their XPW shirts on and they start doing their X or whatever they were doing. And the way they did that, Atlas ran over and the one guy, I think his name was Supreme, bumped into the girl and she fell off the chair. So everybody thought that I hit her, but I never touched her and we never touched each other really. I just tapped her on the shoulder to get off of the chair. So Joey, not wanting to put that company over, said a fan grabbed Francine and then the locker room ran out and then it was just chaos. So that is what happened. I did not see the fight that was outside because we were trying to do our match, but everybody else except for us was partaking in the fight in the back of the arena.
Yeah, you don't have many incidents like that these days. Wrestling has calmed down a lot.
I guess so. But I mean, I guess they were trying to say that we were in their backyard and all this. And it's just like, come on, man. It's disrespectful to the business. Like we would never go to one of their shows and be like, oh, ECW. It's just, It was stupid. It was just.
Well, the bigger company's never going to go to the smaller company anyways.
Right.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.